Campbell's comments, out and about, getting around a few of the farms in the cold winter days, and it is very cold. Kath McIntosh, hello.
G'day Paul, it is chilly today.
We've just done the Pancare raffle, which I will say well done to you guys and the whole team at Llowalong Farms. Congratulations to all the winners. People would have already watched that video and the likes, but great initiative on your behalf, and I suppose, you know, highlighting how great harness racing people do things, getting behind it and raising so much money. What'd you say, $30,000 raised, which is enormous effort.
Really wrapped, and just the sheer number of people who've got behind it and supported it is just incredible.
You got some exciting things coming up, and a little bit of a tease, and that'll come out a bit later on. But just, I suppose, a little bit of a recap of last year as a whole. I know it started off Father's Day really for you, and it's not that far away. But it was just massive, and it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, does it? Like the Stallion Parade and the whole Father's Day experience.
Yeah, so we probably was our only decent weather day of the entire spring and summer, to be honest. It was Father's Day in September 2022, and we had, you know, in excess of 150 people attend our Stallion Parade that day. We will be having another Stallion Parade again this year in September, so that'll be September the 10th, so people can pencil that in their diaries. And hopefully we have a similar nice weather day, and it's a great catch up for everyone. So yeah, so we started off the start season with that, and then it pretty well just went downhill from there really. It rained and it rained and it rained, and it was for the team it was a really stressful full-on period of time. Everything was twice as hard to do in gumboots for months, and you know, we had horses coming in from places that had been flooded out, and just trying to juggle everything and everyone, and you know, it was a fairly traumatic period for everyone really.
And it was tough, like for you guys here at Northern Rivers. We'll put that hat on for a sec there from the veterinary point of view. But I know you were talking to a lot of other people. It was so tough for everyone, full stop, in Victoria and parts of New South Wales as well. It was a very, very trying start to the stud season for everyone.
Yeah, from a medical perspective, looking after, sick foals and things like that, that was certainly widespread and quite an issue, and, really induced by the environmental conditions that, we just haven't seen. I mean, they said it was once in a 100-year flood in this area, and, similarly up into New South Wales. And then on top of that, the mares were cycling sporadically as well. We sort of had a good run early, and then, it was quite difficult in the middle, and even the gestation lengths of the mares were going over. It's not uncommon for them to go over 2 or 3 weeks, but when you're getting 4, 5 and 6 weeks over their due date, it gets really difficult. There was a lot of different factors last year, and then we moved from there into our yearling prep. I'm
going to wind you back one little bit first though. We said there before about Father's Day and your stallions. Your biggest book of stallions ever. How did the farm and how did you enjoy that sort of side of things?
Yeah, look, we were our boys did really well. They were extremely well supported here, around Australia and into New Zealand. We had a good variety of stallions for people to pick from, and whether you're pacing or trotters. We obviously had the two of Woodland Stud in American Ideal and Lather Up, and then Poster Boy, Soho Tribeca both achieved. Well, Poster Boy had a full book, and Soho Tribeca got over 100 bred again in his 3rd year at stud, which is extremely good for the colonial stallions, and a change in the breeder's approach to breeding. So.
And it was interesting what you said to me, I think yesterday when we were on the phone, or whatever day it was we were talking. It was always that 3rd year that's actually the hard year for these stallions, but it actually now comes to be the 4th year, because they've got to wait again another 4 or 5 months before they can actually race, and even then it's nearly another 4 or 5 months before the races really start getting put on for the young 2-year-olds.
Yeah, so in essence, to prove a stallion now, usually it would be that 4th year at stud. Historically the 2-year-old races were through the spring, and you would start to see some of their progeny out there. But now with the change in the race calendar, it's actually the 5th year before those stallions get a chance to prove themselves. So we've got a couple more years to see how there's progeny go on the track, and and you know, it was the first year of the progeny of the likes of Soho Tribeca and Poster Boy into the sales. So that was really exciting for us, and I felt like I'd been waiting for that moment since the stallions arrived here, you know, just to see those adult horses, you know, out there and going through the sales. So yeah, so they did really well, and you know, overall the breeding in Victoria was back by a significant amount of 23%. Like the number of services in 2022 had declined by that much. But you know, fortunately for our stallions here, they were well supported, and we did get great books bred to our horses.
Just on that decline, is that a worry?
There's how long have you got, Paul?
Oh, well, the beauty of this is it can go forever. But I mean, I don't want you to put your. I suppose
it is a worry, in that I think not only is that about the 23% decline in breeding in Victoria, but I think that's actually a reflection on the people's confidence in our industry in Victoria. So there's a lot of factors to be looked at and a lot of things to be done at the upper levels of HRV to change that confidence level and to boost our industry going forward.
Totally agree, and I've been putting it out there lately. I've been fortunate. I'm very fortunate to go to New Zealand, but I was fortunate. I just watched a race the other night, and they had a standing start 2-mile race for middle of the range class horses, and just the excitement and the atmosphere and the build up off that race in New Zealand. It was an Addington almost winter's night. We don't get that at all at the minute, and we need to get that back. So I think people need to be aware. I don't care if it's a standing start or not, but there's a lot of, I suppose, lack of confidence is probably the best word right at the minute. We need something to get people sparked and really get to enjoy the industry.
Yeah, that's right. And there's a lot of challenges in that space from a whole number of factors, really. But you know, that if our numbers are at such a point with our foals, so I mean, that's our numbers of services are back by 23%. Now, if you've got a number of about 2,400 foals that are bred and only 60% of that actually meet the track, it doesn't leave us with a lot of horses racing, and that's the data. It's only 60% that make the track.
Yep.
For a variety of reasons, and yeah, so there's so that's probably the concerning part, but really, yeah, there's a number of factors around why that 23% is like it is.
Okay, back to being positive. Huge. I said before about your biggest number. Oh, so am I. Your biggest book of stallions. It was your biggest draft of yearlings, going to 2 states. Plus, put your veterinary hat back on. You're also vets at 3 of the nutrient sales catalogues, nutrient sales precincts as well. Busy time, the yearling sale time. Yeah,
it was. Busy time on the road. I really enjoy going to the sales. I enjoy interacting with the breeders and seeing their horses and seeing the, for the first year sires, seeing their new progeny out there. And so it's a very, very enjoyable time, but it's a very hectic time. I mean, we prepped, we had, what did we take, 26 to Melbourne and 6 to Sydney.
Something like that, yeah.
And then obviously, being a vet, and that's what I love doing, and also, providing that service at the sales with people that we have such a rapport and relationship with, and Megan and her scoping team, which are, they're very skillful and get the job done very efficiently and to a high standard, and that's what we're about here. Whether it's the clinic or the stud farm, that's the level of expertise that we aspire to, and we hope that we bring an injection of professionalism into the sport through the bits that we have a presence in, and so we enjoy working with Nutrien in that space as vets as well, and providing them with advice and supporting them with what they do for the breeders and the vendors.
It always has its interesting challenges, and you always learn from it, and there's a lot said about Sydney, but all in all, I think most of it was positive. But you do continue to learn, and you do continue to, I suppose, evolve and change. I said there before about your biggest numbers. I don't think your numbers are going to drop next year, but I mean, you do constantly have to change the way you, I suppose, look at it, and we have to, as an industry, change the way we go about selling horses at yearling sales.
Yeah, that's right, and we try and do things to try and keep, I guess, promoting our the horses of our clients, and we're very fortunate. We've had some really top quality horses at the sales that we've been able to present on their behalf, and I know myself and the rest of the team take a lot of pride in the quality of horses that we have and the way we present them. Both in terms of their temperament and in their looks and the finished products that's there, and and that starts from now. It starts really from when they hit the ground as a foal. The looking after the mare before she foals, the foal hitting the ground. We've just finished weaning. So they do a terrific job handling. So Renee, Becky, and Tyson, they're the main crew that handle all these babies, and they do a fabulous job with them. The horses just trust, and it makes life so much easier down the track. And I think they probably don't get enough recognition in that space about the number of hours and the work that they do on these horses right from when they're born, basically, because pretty much everything that we prep is born on farm, and these guys just are so dedicated to those horses their entire pathway through. And
then the love they have of them when they're taking them through that sale ring, and it's a little bit bittersweet for some of them because they know it's going to be the last time they've got some attachment with their mate that they might have had to pull out of the mare. They might have sat up nights just making sure that they everything worked out right, right. Just a fondness for the horses. And I think that's one thing we undersell a little bit is about the I suppose the ride that a lot of people have in this industry, and it's such a ride of roller coasters, really. It is,
and you got to enjoy the highs while you've got them because they're certainly not frequently there, and that's the nature of horses, and that's the nature of breeding and racing, really. And these guys do a wonderful job, and they literally pick who they want to lead through the sale ring based on their favourites. So and that's their favourites that they start with as a foal. So so to Becky, Renee, and Tyson, they do a phenomenal job, and I'm very proud of what they do.
With the yearling sales, I've been fortunate probably the last 3-4 years doing more videos and the likes. Nutrien to come on board. There is this fun aspect about it. There's a group of people that have a lot of fun and become mates through the journey, and it's one thing I want more and more people to be aware of. I know Grant, my brother, he'd never experienced anything like at Sydney, and then by the time he got to Melbourne, he's like, oh, this is how it always works. It is fun. There is parts of it. It is business and all the rest, but I want people to be able to almost put in their calendar when they see the dates that the sales are on, be there. Even if you're not going to buy a horse, because you're with like-minded people, passionate people about the industry that want to improve the industry, and there's so many great things you can actually do there.
Yeah, that's it, and there's a lot of value to be put in the collegiality of the industry, and it doesn't matter whether it's harness racing industry or some other professional base. When you can get people together, at least once a year into the same space, they're all got the same, whether it's through education or the sales or that like-minded passion for whatever that space that they're in, you're only going to get good things out of that, and I certainly think that there's a lot more hype around the sales, and people are keen to be there. It's a great atmosphere. Just even the decorations of the stalls and the promotion of the horses that are there. Hearing and seeing from breeders that we've only really seen names on the paper before, and actually putting a face to a name. So it brings a lot more to the sport and to the industry as a whole.
And a little bit more of the competitive badging, if you like, too, which is the one thing that I love. No shame you've got the Ringers shirt on there, down the side, and Llowalong on the others. But it keeps evolving. I love it because I love the colour. I've always been unashamedly, I put a badge on anyone that sponsors me or tells me anything, and I think we need to do that as an industry so that then the people whose badges we're putting on, they're like Ringers, they'll turn around and they'll share it. I mean, they've got no involvement or minimal involvement at all in harness racing. We want them to be able to get involved in harness racing and continue to grow it. Nutrien, that same boat, 4 or 5 years ago, they weren't in our industry.
Yeah.
Now they're leading sellers of yearlings in the sales. So there's plenty going on. You have your yearlings next. So you've already started your weanlings next. How does next year look for you?
Probably still in a little bit denial that our first foal is to be born on the 16th of August, but it is coming around really quickly, and the stallions are enjoying their holidays at the moment, but they'll be back into quarantine soon, and we've been doing a lot of planning and organising for the next 12 months ahead. You know, we'll have our mares to foal. We'll have our stone parade. With my Harness Breeders Victoria hat on, we have the Breed to Succeed on the 20th of August at Shepparton.
I better not forget that.
Yes, Paul. So we'll do a bit more around that soon, but basically it'll be, you know, speakers and a trade fair as well. So another way to bring, you know, the industry together, talk about some of the newest and latest things in breeding and looking after your mares and foals. I think the better educated people are, the better the industry is. And there's always something new we can learn. So it'll be a great night, you know, food and drinks, lucky door prizes, and, you know, plenty of, you know, different companies that are in the equine space, not necessarily harness racing, but just the equine space that are, you know, coming forward to have trade displays as well. So it should be a great evening. And
we want people to become members of the Harness Breeders Victoria as well, to try and grow the base, I suppose, but then you get eligible for other privileges if you like, but you also keep up to date with what you said, latest moves. You're on the you get told what's going on, and as I said, you're a force in harness racing, so which is really, really good. And I mean the force in a nice way. I don't mean it in a, you know, negative way, but you guys all try to push the right direction.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the roles of Harness Breeders Victoria is the advocacy for the breeders in that space, and you know, we endeavour to do that to the best of our ability, and you know, and having a seat at the table in most discussions. So, you know, our president, Nick Hooper, very ably leads that in most cases, and then, you know, the rest of us duck in, you know, behind to get, you know, things like the Breed to Succeed up and going, which is what we started, if you remember, Paul, way back in COVID, and that was the plan, you know, was to have this at Shepparton, and, you know, we went to a series of online, you know, which was certainly very welcome and successful in that COVID period too. But, you know, we really do want to get back to where everyone can catch up, you know, pre-breeding season and learn.
Yeah, as much as online is terrific and it's changed a lot of things, and it's great for me. Yeah. Getting there and being there, and that's what I said before about the yearling sales and all these other things. There's so many other facets of our industry that is so much fun and going good. Thanks, Kath. I know it's not going to be the last one we do, and I like the fact, one thing I do like the fact that you said they're your team, you have a team of people. It's not just Becky, Renee and Tyson. There is a team of people in the office, there is a team of people everywhere. You also have confidence that you can talk to. You've got the support of studs like Woodlands that are sending you stallions. Is continuing to grow and evolve, and I think what Llowalong Farms and Northern Rivers Equine are doing is terrific. I love it because I mean the industry's going forward, so I think well done to you guys for that. And do me a favour, don't stop. Keep driving, keep going, and you know, and I encourage people to get to the sales and have a bit of fun as well from time to time. So I think most of us get there and enjoy it, and it's unique. So I thank you for everything that you do.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Paul. Thanks
Thank you.
For coming.